On this episode of Game Shack, I asked you guys, who is your arcade aimed at? And I've got some more post E3 retro arcade news. And all that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, it's JDV here for EvilGeniusEntertainment.com. Thank you for stopping by the Game Shack. As always, please check out our other non-game related materials. We got movies, we have talk shows, we have series. Go ahead and check out all that out. All right, so some more kind of post-Fallout E3. I'd say that the reaction to what Arcade1up kind of presented was pretty much universally negative. I don't want to be too hard on them. I mean, they do put out some good products. It's just, I think at this point, they are not maybe innovating fast enough for people's taste. And of course, we have those price increases. Now, it's being said that Arcade1up will offer Wi-Fi on all of their products going forward, but of course, their competitors have been doing that right from the get-go, so I'm not sure that that is such a big deal. I'm not sure that they're going to be putting that Wi-Fi into pinball games when they come out with their version 2. That remains to be seen. Now, it does make you start to think, well, if they're putting Wi-Fi on all these games, is it just for firmware and leaderboard type stuff? Or are they going to offer a la carte in the future? I did a whole episode on that a ways back, and I think that there's going to be ever more pressure on Arcade1up to do that. Well, speaking of a company that already does a la carte buying, iiRcade has announced two brand new branded cabs, Space Ace and Beach Buggy. As I mentioned in my last episode, I don't think that Arcade1up is ever going to release their version of Space Ace, and if they do, it's probably going to be just as expensive as the iiRcade, and that just makes not a whole lot of sense to buy. So I think it's a brilliant looking cabinet, and most importantly, it apparently is already for sale over at iiRcade. So if you're really into Space Ace, like I am, this looks like a cab for you. And iiRcade is not alone in offering new branded cabs. It looks like AtGames is going to be offering their full-sized ALU. Yeah, you can get that in the newest versions with Space Invaders branding. You can get it with Operation Wolf, I think a couple of other games. Now you're going to pay a premium for that because it included becomes their kind of dot matrix bit pixel marquee. I think it has a couple of other things on there, so that's really cool. Also really cool is that now we can see some actual production photos of their Tetris mini cab. If you haven't seen it already, go check out P-Dub's video on that subject. He has a bunch of pictures of the new cab. It looks really slick. It's going to be taller than your standard Arcade1up machine, a little shorter than the ALU. It looks like it's going to have the same kind of online connectivity, 150 games. You should be able to play CoinOps X because there is the HDMI port and USB thing in there. You should be able to play AtGames Blast dongles and flashback consoles on there as well. It looks like it's still just a single player panel only. Lots of room to put in spinners and trackball. It would have been nice if they had a spinner at least in this cab, but I know they're trying to keep the price down to $400, which I believe it still is. You can still pre-order this thing for $20. They have pushed back the release date on this thing. I wouldn't expect to see it until late August, early fall. If you are interested in jumping into this sort of market and you want a retrocade, but you don't have enough money to maybe get the iiRcade, this mini cab has a lot of potential to it. AtGames is also saying that if you have your pre-orders in for your arcade controller deck or BitPixel dot matrix marquee, that those orders are being fulfilled right now. And if you are interested in buying one of those units, you can go over to their website and order that while availability lasts. Wave 11 and Pinball is available. I think they're actually, it's $50 off. It's $7.50 right now if you go over there. Their Vib/Rachel board should be available for sale now too if you're an adventuresome type. So if you are interested in either one of those, go over to AtGames and check them out. I think both AtGames and iiRcade continue to push the ball forward and put heat on Arcade1up, and competition is a good thing. So the question I have for you guys this week is, what sort of home arcade do you have or do you want to have in terms of setup? As the COVID-19 restrictions are now being lifted in just about every state, including here in Michigan, and we have more opportunity to have people come over, is your arcade set up to have people come over? Is it set up to kind of wow your friends and neighbors, or is your arcade just for yourself? In other words, you have just the games that you want to play and nothing else. Are you open to trying to add more games to your arcade that you maybe don't have an interest in yourself per se, but you think would be popular with your friends and neighbors? So that's kind of the approach I've done here in Game Shack. Even though it's quite a small space, I still have a driving game, 2 pinball games. I have the ALU that has, of course, a bunch of variety of games, including you can play the 2-player games. I have a retro Pi setup where you can play a whole bunch of niche type games on there. I try to have a little bit of something for everybody, and I try to have enough units to where if I have 4 or 5 people come over, they all can be playing different machines. One of the coolest things about having a large extended kind of home arcade is that you never know what your friends' like dream game would be. For instance, one of my friends, Jeremy, came over and he was on the ALU and he played Atari Real Sports Tennis for like an hour and a half because that was his jam back in the day. I would never think that. I would never guess in a million years. I would not have put that game on my own system because I never played it. But as soon as he saw it, he was like, yes. So that is one of the really cool things about this is, yes, nostalgia for you, but it's also nostalgia for other people. And you never really know what that nostalgia is going to be. What do you guys think? What are you doing now that COVID's done? Is it going to change how you try to set up your arcade? Does it make you want to set up your own home arcade if you haven't already? Please let me know in the comments below. All right, so that's going to wrap up this short episode. I hope you guys are doing well. Give me a thumbs up on the way out. It really does help us put more content on there. Subscribe if you haven't already and hit the notification bell. Love each other, and until next time, I'm going to see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah! Yeah, the raw athleticism of the Atari 2600 Real Sports Tennis. Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah!
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.